Well, good afternoon, Portland. It's now 3 o'clock.
And the pass is incomplete! Incomplete! Off the arm of the would-be receiver, Dalton Kincaid! Kansas City has the second fourth down stop in this half.
Yeah, Super Bowl 59 is set. Eagles and Chiefs, a rematch from 2 years ago. Sunday, February 9th in New Orleans. Kansas City has been set as a 2-point favorite. The Chiefs attempting to become the first team to win 3 straight Super Bowls. Elsewhere, Steelers owner Art Rooney says his preference is that the team brings back either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. And Aaron Glenn says Aaron Rodgers will be evaluated like everybody else on the roster. The Trailblazers had their 4-game winning streak snapped by the Thunder yesterday. Their 15th straight loss to OKC. Denny Avdia, awesome, 28 points. And Tamani Kamara scored a career-high 24. Trailblazers host the Bucks tomorrow night. Dame is back in town. Tip-off at 7. Chris Burkhardt will have game day live from Dr. Jack's at 5.
And a shot clock violation with 0.2 of a second. They put 0.4 of a second on the clock.
It looks like Shea Gilgeous might be upset. Maybe he thought Avdia fouled him when he was trying to run out the clock.
And there is triple zeros. 118, 108, the final score. The Thunder win. What, be easy frustrated because he doesn't get enough whistles to go his way?
That's a great point.
It's time for the Rip City Drive, brought to you by Lazy Boy. What's your strategy for comfort? Featuring the crazy and often irrational longtime Portland radio vet, Chad Dewing.
Zeros on the clock. The Flares fly skyward, and the Eagles not just beat, but annihilate the Washington Commanders 55-23. What a day, what a win, what a crowd, what a team, what a season, but it's not over yet.
Failure has to be used as a source of pain to go take that next step, and there's always learning opportunities and everything, and I think it's human nature to be ignited.
Going to a knee. You can doubt the Chiefs. You can dislike the Chiefs. You can disrespect the Chiefs. You're going to have to deal with the Chiefs being the first team in National Football League history to win back-to-back Super Bowls and go to the Super Bowl for a chance for a three-peat. The Kansas City Chiefs have just done something that's never been done. And the Kansas City Chiefs Kingdom Rocket has gone past Pluto. The Chiefs win the AFC Championship 32-29.
It's obviously really cool. That's your goal, is to win in the postseason. I know I'm a long way from Tom, so I'll try to do whatever I can to get close to that.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive with Chad Dewing starts now.
Yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl, not because of the officiating, but because they're great. And they're really great at situational football. I'll have more on that in just a moment. Brian No Fox Sports Radio will join me coming up at 4:20, and we'll talk about Championship Sunday and Super Bowl 59, the rematch of the Eagles and Chiefs down in New Orleans. And I have no doubt that these are the two best teams in football, and it should make for a terrific football game. And if you think I would bet against Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid or Steve Spagnuolo in that game, you're crazy. You're crazy to bet against Patrick Mahomes. And they got the job done again. Josh Allen now 0-4 against the Chiefs in the postseason. And if you're a Bills fan today, you feel devastated. And you have that sensation that we're never going to win a championship. We're never going to get past Patrick Mahomes. We're never going to have a chance to right the wrongs of the past. Unbelievable football game. Terrific. But the Chiefs are great, and they do all the little things extremely well. And they're well coached. That synergy between defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo and head coach Andy Reid is terrific. Now, tomorrow is a big day, not just because Damian Lillard is back in town with the Milwaukee Bucks, but tomorrow we'll kick off our 50-50 raffle, and we're going to be doing it for ALS Northwest. We did Chillin' for a Cause last year at the Jackson's Food Mart across the street from where I'm at right now. But this year we're going to do a 50-50 raffle, and it's going to be extended for multiple weeks. So it's going to give all of you a chance to participate and raise money for ALS Northwest. And we're doing this to honor Mike Lynch, former Trailblazer broadcaster who was diagnosed with ALS last year. And he's the one that inspired this journey. My grandfather passed away because of ALS. And Mike Lynch was a great guy. So we're doing the 50-50 raffle, which will launch tomorrow. And you can check back tomorrow. Just go to our website, ripcityradio.com, and go to our contest page, and you'll see all the details for it tomorrow. That's when everything's going to go live. You can purchase your raffle tickets online. We'll have a QR code, the whole deal. And we're going to launch the event tomorrow at Dr. Jack's. So I'll be live at Dr. Jack's starting at 3. I'll take the Rip City Drive up until 5, and then Chris Burkhart will have Blazers Game Day from 5 until 6. But everything tomorrow is all about Mike Lynch and doing whatever we can to help ALS Northwest and to benefit the families and the people who are suffering and going through the difficulties of such a horrendous disease. So we'll have all the details for you tomorrow, 50-50 raffle in honor of Mike Lynch, former Trailblazers broadcaster, and raising money to benefit ALS Northwest. That's what's going on tomorrow. And I'll be at Dr. Jack's. So if you're coming down to the game, swing by, say hi, and then we can get ready to watch the Trailblazers and Bucks from Moda Center. Always nice when Dame comes back to town and we get a chance to see what we once had. Love Dame. Big fan, and it's going to be a fun game tomorrow. But that's where we're going to be, Dr. Jack's, from 3 until 6. Rip City Drive until 5. Chris Burkhart with Blazers Game Day from 5 until 6. If you want to jump on board, you can do so. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. You can find me on social media at Chad and Rip City. Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio, coming up at 420. All right, the Kansas City Chiefs got it done yesterday, and it happened at the very end. The Bills with the ball, looking to score and win the game, and the Chiefs' defense came up huge on 4th and 5.
Kansas City has the second 4th down stop in this half.
There you have it. The Chiefs in their 7th consecutive AFC title game, and now are going back to the Super Bowl, and they're attempting to become the first team to win 3 straight championships in the Super Bowl era. It's never been done. It's really hard to do, and yet the Chiefs are right back there. Patrick Mahomes, and I've said this and I'll say it again, he's already the best quarterback I've ever seen play football in the history of the league. Definitely in my lifetime. He's better than Brady. He's better than Elway. He's better than everyone. He's got that unique combination of leadership, mobility, and incredible arm strength. And now what's happening as he continues to advance throughout his career, the game continues to slow down and he gets better with time because he understands what the defense is doing. He knows where his guys are going to be. He's got a great connection with his receivers on offense and his feel for the game. And when you have the game slow down for a player of that caliber, you're seeing what's happening. He's dominating the league. And I understand that people are getting tired of it because they don't like to see the same team win over and over and over again. I get that. But you got to respect what the Chiefs are doing. Do they get the benefit of the whistle at times? Yes. But is that the reason they're going back to the Super Bowl for a chance to win 3 straight? No. It's because the organization is well run. They make good decisions with the roster, and their coaches are elite. And they've got the best quarterback in the game in Patrick Mahomes. That's what it comes down to. And when you've got coach and quarterback figured out, and you've got a front office that knows how to make moves and continue to draft and develop players, you're going to have a team that's almost unstoppable. And that's what I see when I see the Chiefs play. An unstoppable unit with a great quarterback and great coaching and a well-run organization. Take yesterday, for example. Patrick Mahomes, 11 carries, 43 yards, and 2 touchdowns. What's great about Mahomes is that you don't know how they're going to use him game to game. And this goes back to what I've said in the past about Andy Reid being very flexible in terms of the opponent he's facing, the roster that he's got, whether it be youth or guys subbing in because of injury. He finds ways to put different players in a position to have success. And that's really what coaching is all about in the pro level. It's taking your roster, finding your guys, and putting them in a position to have success. And they've done it the last 2 years with either youth at receiver or injuries and different guys having to step up and get the job done. And then, of course, you've got the elite players like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. But they continue to play. And what I love about Reid, he's unpredictable. Like, they have things they're going to lean on that they know they can trust to pick up first downs, but he's not afraid to mix it up. They can get physical and run the football. They can kill you with the short passing game. Or if they want to get aggressive, they can still attack you downfield. And I thought yesterday was a well-coached and great performance by their offense. They ran the ball for over 130 yards. They had Patrick Mahomes, who picked up some critical first downs and 2 touchdowns with his legs. And then Mahomes was very efficient throughout the game. 18 of 26, 245, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. And for the Buffalo Bills, I thought Josh Allen early, especially on that first series, he could have been picked off twice. You could tell he was nervous. He did a great job of settling down and making plays, but they were very predictable with their offense, especially in situational football. We knew what they were going to do on fourth down. They were going with the QB sneak, and Josh Allen has a tendency to want to go off the left side. And what happens is you get into those spots, and on that fourth down call late in the game, the Chiefs knew what was coming. And the other problem is that when you line up to go for the tush push or the quarterback sneak on fourth and short late in the game, you put yourself at the mercy of the officials or the replay system. Do I think that Allen probably got the first down? Yeah, he probably did. But the Chiefs knew what was coming because they'd already run the play several times throughout the game. And you put yourself at the mercy of the officials. Also, Buffalo ran the football very well. Nearly 150 yards on the ground, but yet late in the game when they had timeouts and time on their side and the football and a chance to win the game, they got away from the balance. And it looked like they kind of reverted back to asking Josh Allen to do everything. And that was very bizarre. Allen ran it 11 times, 39 yards. They got away from James Cook late in the game. And I thought the Chiefs' defense with Steve Spagnuolo did a heck of a job of calling a game and mixing up their blitzes, especially calling the corner blitz late in the game on fourth down. You would have thought the Bills may have anticipated that, but the Chiefs had free rushers. And they also knew that Allen was going to roll to his right. And they got the incomplete. You know, Kincaid probably should have caught the football, but the pressure was there, and it forced Allen into a throw that was nearly impossible. A Hail Mary type throw. It should have been caught, but the Chiefs got exactly what they wanted from that situation. And now for the Chiefs, the little things, right? Situational football, details, special teams, making sure that they get the right calls on the field in the right moments. Patrick Mahomes not turning it over and making good decisions with the ball. That's what it comes down to. And they got a big special teams play. And I thought the Chiefs did a great job before the half when they advanced their advantage to 21-10. The Bills were able to battle back, but the fourth down call was brutal. And, of course, the Chiefs went down and got the score. And then after that, they held on for the win. And now they're going back to the Super Bowl. And the question is, with 3 straight as a possibility, does it add extra motivation? Here's a Q&A with Patrick Mahomes following the game.
In this moment, with the chance to get the 3-peat, does this one feel a little bigger, maybe, in this moment?
I mean, not necessarily. I put every single season as its own season, and every team's different. You get new guys, you get guys that have to step up in different roles, and so I just go about my business and just try to prepare everybody to be in the best possible situations to succeed. And obviously, it'll be awesome. I think it'll be something I look back at the end of my career if we're able to go out there and get that 3-peat. But at the same time, you just treat it as one season and one Super Bowl run, which is always hard to do.
Now, I picked the Chiefs to win, but part of the reason that I'm happy they're in this game coming up in 2 weeks against the Eagles, I wanted the storyline of the Chiefs having a shot at 3 straight Super Bowls. And I do like greatness, and we've never witnessed a team in this position to win 3 straight Super Bowls before, and now it's going to be right there for us to watch. And that's going to add great drama. It adds pressure to Kansas City trying to do something that's never been done before. And for Patrick Mahomes, who is chasing one man, Tom Brady, it gives him a chance to do something that Brady never did before. You go 3 straight, and it's never been done before, that puts you in legendary status. He's already a legend, but he takes another step up in that pursuit of Tom Brady. But in terms of quarterbacks today, I'll take Patrick Mahomes over Brady or anybody else who's ever played the game before because of the mobility, because of the arm strength, because of his understanding of defenses and how to play the game. He's simply the best. It pains me to say that, but he is simply the best. And the Eagles, that's a tough opponent right there. They're loaded to the gills with talent. They have the best roster in football, and they annihilated Washington. And the Commanders, their youth showed through right before halftime when they had a series of plays go against them, and the game was over. They're down by 2, and before you know it, they're down by 15. Game over. Those are tough lessons to learn on that stage. All right, we'll keep things rolling. I've got thoughts on Jerry Jones. He's crazy, and I love it, The Portland Trailblazers should be excited about 5 things. I'll explain that later in the show. And we have a pair of tickets to give away. It's a Trailblazer ticket Monday today because we have a 4-pack to give away tomorrow for the Coors Light Silver Seats for the game coming up on Sunday against Phoenix. So today we're going to give away a pair for Orlando, and we'll do that at 5 o'clock. I'm Chad Doing. Brian Noe at 420. You got the Rip City Drive. All right, so tomorrow I'll be live at Dr. Jack starting at 3, and I'll have the Rip City Drive up until 5, and then Burkhart will take over with Blazers Game Day at 5 o'clock. I will have a 4-pack of tickets for the Coors Light Silver Seats for Sunday's game against Phoenix to give away on Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday, courtesy of your Portland Trailblazers. And we're going to kick off the 50-50 raffle to benefit ALS Northwest and people like Mike Lynch and their families who are struggling and suffering dealing with the horrific disease. So I'm excited about the event because we have a chance, you and me, in this community to make a difference. And that's what it's all about. So I'm excited about tomorrow. Dr. Jack's live at 3, and it all leads up to the Bucks, Damian Lillard and company in town taking on your Portland Trailblazers. We have a pair of tickets for the Orlando game coming up. We'll do that at 5 o'clock for Trailblazer Ticket Monday. And then tomorrow, the 4-pack of tickets for the Coors Light Silver Seats. And if you haven't set up there, Coors Light has got these seats at a variety of different arenas across the country, but they're big, cushy captain-type chairs. So you're sitting in luxury. You've got the Coors Light table that's in front of you with the cold rail technology. So when you go and grab your Coors Light, you can sit your drink in that little holster, and it keeps it cold throughout the game. And it's got a place to plug in your cell phone so you could charge it. So you basically have everything you need with a bird's eye view of the court, so you'll be totally dialed in. And we'll give away a 4-pack of tickets for the game against Phoenix, and we'll do that tomorrow as we kick off our 50-50 raffle benefiting ALS Northwest. Your telephone number is 503-248-0620, 503-248-0620. You can find me on social media at Chad and Rip City. And, of course, you can always listen and stream on the iHeartRadio app. And every single Trailblazer game is available streaming on the iHeartRadio app. Every single game. So it's all right there in one place for you. Now, I just got a text message from Sean who said the Chiefs are lucky and good. I don't see it that way. I know that they've set the record for one-score victories, but I think teams like Kansas City, they don't get lucky. They make their own luck by being incredibly detailed and skilled in situational football, and by having a quarterback that's better than everybody else, and having a coaching staff that's loaded with experience with guys that obsess about details. That would be Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo, who I think have great synergy, terrific synergy. And Andy Reid, of course, for a lot of reasons, loves his defensive coordinator and thinks Spags would once again be a great head coach.
You know, I have the utmost respect for him, and I know he'd be a great head coach. I don't want to lose him selfishly, but I know what kind of coach he is, and I know the situation that he was in with the Rams and all that. And you know, you give him another opportunity, and he'll do a great job there. But that I can't determine that, and we don't have time to worry too much about that with all this going on.
Yeah, I love Spags because he's incredibly aggressive. He likes to put pressure on the quarterback. He's not afraid to blitz. And on 4th down and 5 late in the game, he brought the corner. The guy's got incredible guts as a defensive coordinator, but his players know where they need to be, what they need to do, and how they want to execute as a team, and they get things done on a regular basis. So I don't buy into this whole idea that Kansas City is lucky or fortunate or the benefactor of the officials. Now, I do think they get favorable calls. All great teams do. The Lakers did. The Chiefs do. The Patriots did. There's definitely something to be said about that. But they're not going back to the Super Bowl with a chance to win 3 straight because they benefit from the whistle. I mean, you got to give them a little bit more respect from that. They're incredibly well coached. They have great players, and they execute incredibly well. But most importantly, they get all the little things right. And in football, and we hear it all the time, it's a game of inches. When you pay attention to details and you execute in the key moments, it gives you a great chance to win games. And Kansas City has done it time and time again. So when they get in those spots, they've got confidence. They know what they want to do. They understand the direction they're going to take, and the players have confidence in the guys around them that their teammates are going to do the right thing. And that's what it comes down to. Like yesterday, Patrick Mahomes, he spread it around nicely. Xavier Worthy, who struggled throughout the course of his first season, 6 grabs. Juju Smith-Schuster had a good game. 2 critical catches. Hollywood Brown, Travis Kelce, Samaje Perine, 1 catch, and it was the first down that sealed the game. Pacheco caught 2, Hopkins caught 1, and Kareem Hunt caught a ball. So once again, Kansas City spreading it around. Andy Reid finding different ways to get his guys in a position to have success. And Travis Kelce, coming off the monster game against Houston, more of a decoy yesterday, and it allowed Xavier Worthy to step up and have a big game, probably his best in a Chiefs uniform. That just impresses the heck out of me the way they're able to do that. Now, on the flip side for Buffalo, it's really hard to criticize them. You know, when Josh Allen gets the ball with over 3 minutes remaining, 3 timeouts, and he's got the 2-minute warning, I'm sure Bills fans felt pretty good about their chances to go down and score. But yet, they were unable to get it done. And I don't blame Josh Allen. He's been great in these games. They just can't get over on the Chiefs because they're not good enough. And he probably wishes he had that 4th down play back, but he got the ball off and somehow found a way to get it to Kincaid, who dropped the football. But Josh, after the game, takes pride in his teammates.
I got so much pride in our guys, showing up each and every day, working as hard as they can. You know, guys truly adopted what we talked about this year going into it. Yeah, love these guys.
You can hear the pain in his voice. To get so close and yet so far away. He's a good guy. He embodies what the Bills are all about. He's terrific for that town and that organization. And he's a great player. And he's got a great attitude. He's a good leader. Really like Josh Allen. But as he pointed out, we're not the only ones that have had their season ended by the Chiefs. They do this all the time.
They've ended a lot of team seasons too. And it's a good squad. They had a good plan tonight, and again, they made one more play than we did.
And finally, from Josh, and I think we all know this, to be the man, you got to beat the man.
To be the champs, you got to beat the champs, and we didn't do it tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. You know, these are the things you got to focus on. Doing more in the regular season to make sure you get a chance to host that game. And I think for the Chiefs, the bye week this week, getting the number 1 seed was critical because it allowed them to rest, to regroup, and give Andy Reid more time to prepare for the postseason. The crazy thing about that game plan he had yesterday against Buffalo, you would have thought he had 2 or 3 weeks to prepare for that game. The way he utilized Mahomes in the run game, the way he spread the football around and got Xavier Worthy going. Their special teams were solid. The defense came up with big plays. They just know how to get the job done. I've got nothing but respect for Kansas City. They're in the same division as Denver. But I've never hated Kansas City the way that I hate the Raiders. I just respect Kansas City because I like franchises that do things the right way. Good decision makers that hire the right people and put them in a position to do what they do best. And that's what the Chiefs have done for years and years. Good decisions. And then when Andy Reid had a chance to go out and draft the quarterback he wanted, they got Patrick Mahomes, and the rest is history. But this is what you have to get through to get to where you want to be. They're not invincible, but they're close. And it comes down to the preparation and then the execution from their great players. Now, on the other side, the Philadelphia Eagles, they're great too.
Pitches it out to Barkley, takes off to the outside. He's at the 50, he's at the 40, he's at the 30, he's going to go! 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Saquon Barkley, 60 yards on his opening touch.
He had 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. The Eagles rushed 7 touchdowns yesterday on the ground. 7. They're a physically dominant football team. And what I like about the Eagles is that they have a team that's built to win a championship. They dominate at the line of scrimmage, and they have playmakers who, once they get the ball in their hands, have got the speed and the ability to break the game. And we saw from Saquon, they've got a number of legit players on offense, but their offensive and defensive lines are great. And the true challenge for Kansas City is going to be when you show up to face Philadelphia in the Super Bowl, you're going up against a team with the best roster. And with Jalen Hurts, he's not Patrick Mahomes. I don't know where he ranks amongst the rest of the league in terms of his quarterback play. I don't put him in the elite level. But what I like about Jalen Hurts is his poise. He's very calm and collect under pressure. And he's good in those moments at making some big plays. We saw that 4th down toss yesterday, which was critical. But we saw them rise above and just continue to do what they do best, which is be physical, be aggressive, and run the football. That's their mentality. And for Jalen Hurts, he didn't make the big mistake. He just got the ball into the hands of his playmakers and let them do the work. And Jalen Hurts is really good at playing point guard. He can be a good point guard, distribute the football, get it into the hands of their speed, their playmakers, and then he's good for at least 2 plays a game where you're like, wow, that was awesome. And for Philadelphia, they've been tremendous all year. One of the best teams from start until finish. And it's funny because Nick Sirianni, after that meltdown last year when they got off to the 10-1 start and wilted down the stretch, there were people questioning Nick Sirianni because he's a weird dude. He's crazy. Taunting the fans, acting goofy, but he obviously has got a pretty good handle on what they're doing. And remember, a couple of years ago, they lost both their coordinators. One guy went to Arizona, and then Steichen went to Indianapolis. It's hard to replace guys of that caliber at those positions. But he did it. They've settled in, and now they're playing great football. But I like teams that run. I like teams that have an identity, and the Philadelphia Eagles know who they are. And when you know who you are and you have confidence in that, and you've got the bodies and the players to be able to execute, you're a dangerous football team. This is a titanic matchup because I believe the Eagles and Chiefs are the two best teams in football. And I also believe the Eagles fans are the worst group of humans on the planet in terms of sports fans. They're rabid and crazy. So this sets up for a very good Super Bowl. But for the Eagles, good leadership, and Jalen Hurts is a good leader. And he's got a good voice, and he talked about the togetherness of this team, and I think you can see that in the way they play.
There's been a sense of togetherness for us to all come together and try and achieve the ultimate team goal, and we've done a great job of that to this point of being able to put ourselves in this position.
Yeah, you can see that. They're playing for each other. There's togetherness there. And for Saquon Barkley, you go from the Giants, just a piss-poor organization with a bad football team, and now you got a chance to win a championship.
I always dreamed about it, but the dream wasn't just getting there. The dream was winning it. So that's what the mindset's at.
You got to love it. Saquon Barkley today, he's already one of the best running backs I've ever seen. He's not the best, but he's right up there near the top. He ran for over 2,000 yards this year, but he's got that rare combination that I love. He can run between the tackles with physicality, but he's got the speed to bust it, and he did that yesterday. He can take it to the house from anywhere on the field. Great strength, great power between the tackles, but he's got the speed to go to the distance, and he can catch the football. He's like the perfect player. And Dave Gettleman knew that when he drafted him. He said that's a gold jacket type player, and it's true, he is. But when you have a chance to go to a team like Philly, because the Giants, good decision to draft Saquon, but the problem is they just couldn't build the team around him to where he could have great success. But he goes to Philly, and you look at that maneuver. He's going to a team that knows how to play at the line of scrimmage. Great offensive line. You've got a quarterback that has no problems taking a back seat to other guys on the roster when they've got the hot hand, and it's a perfect fit. It's a perfect marriage, much like Derrick Henry. The two players that were signed before this season, Derrick Henry in Baltimore, we all knew that was going to work. It's like, wait, they got Derrick Henry? Get out of here. It's a perfect matchup between physicality and the way that team plays and then what the Eagles needed and the way that Saquon fits. Saquon Barkley is a terrific fit in Philly because of his playmaking, his ability to catch, his smarts. He understands where he needs to be, and he's got a quarterback that, can run that offense and put him in a position to have success. So this game is going to be a big-time matchup, and the Chiefs are going to have issues trying to deal with those guys up front. Jalen Carter is an animal, and they just hammered, absolutely destroyed the Commanders yesterday. And it really came down to that sequence there before the end of the half where the Commanders had pulled it within 2, and you thought for a moment, it's like, wait a second, they got a chance. And then the Eagles just opened it back up. And that's the hard part is when you're playing a team like Philly or a team like Kansas City, you can't afford to make the big mistakes because those teams will make you pay. They'll cash in, and they'll capitalize on your mistakes to make the most of it. That's what they do. So I'm really impressed, very impressed with what we saw from both the Eagles and the Chiefs yesterday. And I like Jalen Hurts a lot. He played at Oklahoma. He was benched at Alabama in favor of Tua, but he didn't complain. He just continued to go out and ball. And I respect guys like that. I respect Jalen Hurts for the way he works and the way he operates. So you tell me, how do you see this going down? How's the game going to turn out? Right now, the Chiefs are a 2-point favorite. And I know a lot of people wanted Buffalo in there, and I know because I hear from a lot of you, people are tired of the Chiefs, but they deserve to be there. But I thought the key moment in that game yesterday in the NFC title game, they're down by 2. They missed the 2-point conversion, and then they get the PI on 3rd down and 13. Philly ends up getting a touchdown on that drive. And then the Commanders fumble the kickoff. Then they had a late hit on 3rd down, extending Philly's drive. They get a touchdown, game over. So you go from down 2 to all of a sudden down 15 on the road in the NFC title game. You've got no chance. You make those type of mistakes, you can't overcome it. And that's the problem with the young team. Missed 2-point conversion, PI on third down, results in a Philly touchdown, fumble the following kickoff, and then you extend their drive with a late hit on third down. Philly gets a touchdown, game over. That's how simple. It ended in about 2 minutes of gameplay because of those mistakes. And they were right there. I think Washington's got a bright future. Young team with a great quarterback. I thought their coaching staff, their ownership group, the way they set that team up, they were sensational. And Jaden Daniels is one of the best rookie quarterbacks of all time, if not the best. And I thought he held his own in that game yesterday. But there's a difference between being a contender and being a championship contender like Philadelphia. You see the difference on the field. It's eye-popping. And I think it also shows, how good of a job McVay did with the Rams, that they were in a position to win that game late in the divisional round. So I like the matchup. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on the show. Chiefs, Eagles, Super Bowl 59 down in New Orleans, 2 weeks away, and Kansas City's a 2-point favorite. We'll talk football with Brian Noe at 4:20, and I've got a pair of tickets for the Trailblazers and Magic. We'll give that away at 5 o'clock here on the Rip City Drive. All right, let's hear from Jerry Jones. They introduced Brian Schottenheimer as their new head coach, and no one likes the hire. Like, literally, no one likes the hire. And Jerry Jones does like to hear himself speak. And you know where I come out on Jerry. I like the man. I like Jerry Jones. He cares about the Cowboys. He wants to win. He might get in his own ways sometimes, but I respect an owner who's willing to spend and do whatever it takes to win. At least I know this. At least when Jerry makes a mistake, I can have the understanding that he's just trying to do whatever he thinks is best to win. Even if it's the wrong decision, he cares. And you understand what I'm saying? Like you know that he really cares about his team and wanting to put them in a position to win. Now, he doesn't always make the right decision, but I know that he cares. And I've said the same thing about Paul Allen for years when he was owning and leading the Trailblazers. He didn't make all the right decisions, but I knew that no one wanted to win more than he did. And he was willing to open up the checkbook and continue to spend big money to do whatever it takes. And I respect the heck out of that. Because as a sports fan, all you want to know is that your ownership group or owner is willing to do whatever it takes to win. And if I know that, then I can look past some of the mistakes. Because in the end, we're all on the same page and we all want the same thing. And I know after the Hawks won the Super Bowl, I was talking to a close friend of Paul Allen, who was at the postgame party there after they crushed the Broncos 43-8. And the first thing that Paul said to his one of his good friends after the game was, "This is awesome, but man, I really wish that this was taking place in Portland with the Trailblazers right now." So when I hear things like that, I'm like, okay, Paul cares and he's willing to do whatever it takes and is going to be aggressive in trying to, pursue a championship. So I can live with that. And I feel the same way about Jerry. I think his ego might get the best of him sometimes, but this is a guy that has spent a lot of time scouting players, looking at players, going to the Senior Bowl, being a part of the draft process. Like, he puts in the time, so I respect that. Now, the Brian Schottenheimer hire is not popular across the league. No one thinks it's a good hire. And this is what Jerry had to say today at the press conference.
I spent a nice part of my early 4 or 5 years with the Dallas Cowboys defending why not Coach Landry and defending why Jimmy would make a good coach. I think one time I said he's worth 5 Heisman trophies to be a good coach. Did I know? No, but I knew Jimmy, okay? Had I interviewed countless thousands of coaches? No, not at all. So what I'm here to tell you is this was a thorough process. Shaded by whatever my experiences have been, shaded by my experiences with Stephen and Charlotte and Jerry, shaded by many things. We all are involved in this. And what I would say for the fans is that, yes, to some, and it might be couched as a less than glamorous hire. What I would say to you is I got here taking shots and not shoddy shots. I got here taking shots. Good things have happened. Let me tell you something. There's some stuff to be had over there where not many people go. There is. Don't think for 1 minute I won't take a shot. This was risky. This is risky. But by the same token, how often can you take a risk when someone has had over 30 years, almost 30 years of being around coaches, of being around players? That's 2/3 of his life. And then the rest of it growing up in a football-oriented, NFL-oriented family, if you will. I think this might make something special. So I'm all behind what we're, to say the very least, Clarence, for your benefit, I'm all in here.
All right, there's Jerry. All right, so the problem I have with the hire or the process in which they went through to get to Schottenheimer, one, they waffled around for about a week with Mike McCarthy before they made a decision to part ways and move on. So they missed out on an opportunity to talk to several of the other top candidates that would have been available and maybe would have taken the job in Dallas. Hey, Jerry, what are you doing? And you're trying to tell me you didn't know before the end of the year that you were going to part ways with McCarthy? Why are you wasting time when you could be talking to other prime candidates? Like, that part drives me crazy. Because if you're going to hire a new head coach, even if you've got your eyes set on Schottenheimer, at least give yourself enough time to talk to all the candidates for a couple of different reasons. One, you might find out things about your team you didn't know. That's part of the reason why these teams go through lengthy interview processes because they want to see and hear what other people around the league think about their franchise and their team and ideas that they have on how they would fix it. It's information gathering. It's called doing good business. So you miss out on that. But also, you might just interview someone that blows your socks off and be like, damn, we got to hire this guy. But they didn't do that. So they waffled, they waited, and then they wind up with Brian Schottenheimer. They also reached out and talked to Deion Sanders, but from what I've heard on that is that was never serious, but more of an attempt to at least connect yourself with Coach Prime to let your fans know that you took interest in Coach Prime and considered it. It's almost like you're pacifying the fan base because Prime used to be a Cowboy, won a Super Bowl in Dallas, and he's having great success at Colorado. So, hey, Jarrah, why aren't you talking to Coach Prime? So he satisfied the fan base there. And he winds up with Brian Schottenheimer. How would you like to be Coach Schottenheimer sitting at that press conference with the owner saying, this is a risky move? It's very risky. Thanks. Really appreciate that, Jerry. Thanks for the confidence. Thanks for acknowledging that this might not have been the best hire you could have made. Now, I will say this about Coach Schottenheimer. Just because he's never been a head coach doesn't mean he won't be successful. And just because a team lands on a candidate that was not their number one choice doesn't mean they won't be successful. Look at Pete Carroll at USC. He was not the number one pick when he was hired. He was like number 4 on the list, and he wound up being a stud. So for Schottenheimer, he got his start back in 97, and he's been an assistant in some capacity for the entire time. He started with the Rams. Then he was assistant with the Kansas City Chiefs, Syracuse, USC, Washington Redskins, the Chargers, Jets, back to the Rams, Georgia, the Colts, Seahawks, Jaguars, and then the Cowboys. He came on as a coaching analyst back in 2022 and then was offensive coordinator before getting the head coaching job. Now, I will say this about Schottenheimer. Look at some of the recent hires in the NFL. Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni were laughed at when they were hired. Campbell was talking about biting people, and everyone thought he was crazy. And instead, he came in as a leader of men, set a culture, and had Detroit the last 2 years just a couple of steps away from the Super Bowl. It's pretty impressive what he's been able to do. And then Sirianni, he's still crazy, but yet he's winning, and now he's going back to another Super Bowl. Nearly beat the Chiefs the first time around. Now he's got a chance to win a championship. So just because everyone thinks the hire is a bad idea or that you're bringing in a guy that wasn't exactly on anyone's radar and not the popular choice, it doesn't mean it's the bad hire. I actually feel bad for Coach Schottenheimer. What did he do to anyone to deserve all the criticism he's getting? But that's what happens when you take over as the Cowboys head coach. You're not just coaching the Cowboys. You're not just a head football coach. You're coaching America's team, and you've got an owner who is front and center, holding his own press conferences after games. Jerry holds his own press conference after a game, and then the media goes to the coach's press conference to ask him about what Jerry said. That's very uncomfortable. So, I don't know. I'm rooting for Schottenheimer because he's the underdog here, and I hope that it works out for him. But just remember this. Just because everyone says it's a bad hire doesn't mean it's a bad hire. And for Jerry, I love the guy, and I love the way he approaches life, and he makes me laugh, and he's a funny guy. But the reality is the Cowboys haven't been a serious contender for decades. It's been a long time since they won a Super Bowl. And we'll see how things work out with Schottenheimer. All right, we'll keep things rolling. We'll get back to football at 4:20 and talk with Brian O, Fox Sports Radio. We got a pair of tickets to give away for the Trailblazers at 5. And when we come back, I want to focus on the 5 things that I'm excited about with your Trailblazers right now. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad Doing. What's up, my friends? Now 4 o'clock.
And the pass is incomplete! Incomplete! Off the arm of the would-be receiver, Dalton Kincaid! Kansas City has the second fourth down stop in this half.
Pitches it out to Barkley. Takes off to the outside. He's at the 50. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Saquon Barkley, 60 yards on his opening touch.
Yeah, Super Bowl 59 is set. Eagles and Chiefs, a rematch from 2 years ago, Sunday, February 9th in New Orleans. Kansas City right now a 2-point favorite. The Chiefs attempting to become the first team to win 3 straight Super Bowls. Your Trailblazers had their 4-game win streak snapped by the Thunder yesterday. Their 15th straight loss to OKC. Denny Avdia 28. Kamara had a career-high 24. The Blazers and Bucks tomorrow. 7 o'clock tip from Moda. Chris Burkhardt live with Game Day from Dr. Jax at 5. All right, take a moment to thank my good friend Gus Farah with the Ridgefield Raptors and a gentleman I worked with in years in radio before we transitioned in different directions. But he had me out to MC the Northwest Baseball Coaches Association banquet over at the Sheridan this past weekend. Had a chance to meet some great coaches and some good people, and it's just nice to catch up with Gus. Good guy who has always taken really good care of me. And he's one of those mentors who has always encouraged me over the course of time, and I appreciate people like that in my life. So, Gus, thank you, my friend. You're good people, and I respect the heck out of you. But that was a good event out at the Sheridan. I love this weather, the sunshine. It's been freezing balls in the morning, but I love the blue skies and the sun. I wake up and feel better. And Puppy Shots gets a chance to, kick back on the couch and sunbathe and catch the rays. It's fabulous. All right, tomorrow's a very big night. Rip City Drive is going to be live at Dr. Jax. I'll be down there starting at 3, and I'll be live until 5. And then Chris Burkhardt will take over with Blazers Game Day at 5 and go up until 6. We're kicking off our event presented by Coors Light for ALS Northwest. We did the event last year over at Jackson's Food Mart across the way from where I'm at right now at the studio. And everything that we did benefited ALS Northwest. And the inspiration behind this was Mike Lynch, fellow colleague, former Trailblazer broadcaster, and a really good dude. He was diagnosed with ALS. And so I wanted to do something to help him and families like his in the area. When you get really bad news, I always have that question like, what can I do? I can pray for them, and I know that can make a huge difference. But what's something tangible I can do to really make a difference? And so that's when we came up with the idea to do some different events to benefit ALS Northwest, because the disease is horrendous and the families suffer as well because they're the ones who are stuck with the bill and all the different work and things that are necessary to care for their loved ones who have ALS. And my grandfather passed away from ALS. I never heard my grandfather speak, but I was close with him. He would sit in a chair, and he had a typewriter next to him to communicate. So I've seen it firsthand how devastating it is. And so tomorrow we're going to kick off our 50-50 raffle. We're going to give away a 4-pack of tickets for the Coors Light Silver Seats for the game on Sunday against the Suns. So it's going to be a great event. So if you're heading down to the game, swing by Dr. Jax before we have a chance to go in and watch the Trailblazers hopefully hammer Dame and the Bucks. That's going on tomorrow, and the raffle will go on for multiple weeks, so you have a chance to buy some tickets and be a part of the solution to help those families who are in need, who are dealing with ALS. It's awful. As for the Trailblazers, a lot of stuff going on right now. We have the NBA trade deadline, which is coming up in just a matter of weeks at the beginning of February. I think we're all keeping an eye on that because the question is, what veterans, if any, will the Trailblazers be able to move before the deadline? Is it Jeremy Grant? I've been told that Jeremy Grant, if a vet is moved by the deadline, Jeremy Grant would be the most likely to go. And if it's not Grant, what about Anthony Simons or potentially DeAndre Ayton? Could you move all three? I don't expect any moves to be made, only because it's going to be really difficult for teams to move large salaries before the deadline because of the new CBA and this second apron, which is causing a lot of issues. So it could be that the majority of maneuvers are going to come after the deadline. Or should I say, after the deadline and in the summer. That's probably when we're going to see a lot of things go down. The Trailblazers are reaching that point where they're going to have to move on from some of the vets so they can elevate their young players to get them more time and more experience and an opportunity to continue to grow. That's where I'm at right now. I don't expect anything to go down. I've been told that Grant is the most likely to be moved before the deadline, and anything left after that, it would be summertime maneuvers. So that's what you got to keep an eye on with the Trailblazers right now. What I would expect, if you have multiple vets remaining on the roster after the deadline, that the Blazers will look to maybe shut down some of the vets and elevate their younger players. That we'll see them make a mad push for, draft positioning after the deadline. That's what I anticipate. And we'll see how long that takes after the deadline comes and passes. But here's my reason for hope right now, or optimism with the franchise. The young players. And they have 5 guys in particular right now that we're getting a chance to watch and see their development right before our eyes. Now, if you can take away all of the other matters that may be frustrating you right now, the losing over the course of a few seasons, some people have issues with the ownership group, whatever the case may be, just put that aside for a moment and look at what they have on the floor right now. We start with Scoot Henderson. He was taken number 3 overall. His first year was not, shall we say, stellar. And he had a slow start to this year. But what we're seeing now over the last few weeks, in particular the last 5 to 7 games, has been tremendous. We're seeing him now, as he nears 21 years of age, start to take that next leap. The game is slowing down for him. He's making better decisions with the basketball. He's making shots, and he's doing a much better job of finishing in the paint. We're seeing growth from Scoot Henderson, and thank God, because they need him to hit. They don't need him to be a franchise player. It's great if he is, but just develop into a legit, bona fide NBA starter and leader and point guard of this basketball team. And what we're seeing is when he's on the floor with no Ant and he's got the ball in his hands, very effective. The one thing I love about Scoot is his mental approach. He doesn't get too high. He doesn't get too low. And the struggles don't seem to get him down. He continues to work. And if you talk to anyone around the team, his work ethic is, they don't question it. So he's got the makings of a guy that can continue to improve. But most importantly, we're starting to see production on the floor, recent production. And that's a great sign. Shaedon Sharpe, same thing. Last year was derailed by injury. This year, we're seeing flashes of brilliance. Now, he's not where he needs to be, and he was recently benched for defensive ineffectiveness, according to Coach Billups. But that's a good thing. The reason why Coach put him on the bench because he didn't like what he was doing defensively is because he believes he's got the ability to be a great player. And you need accountability. We all do. But Shaedon has shown flashes this year of brilliance, of what he can do on offense. His athleticism obviously is great, one of the best in-game dunkers in the league. But his pull-up jumper, his three-point shot, his ability to make decisions with the basketball in his hands, we're seeing growth and progress from Shaedon Sharpe. Now, Donovan Clingan has dealt with a couple of nagging injuries with the knee and the ankle, but when he plays, he's productive. When he plays, you believe that the Blazers got a steal in the draft. He's got confidence. He knows how to use his body really well. He's a large human being. He's a great shot blocker. Love his attitude and approach and the way he works, but he makes the team better. So Scoot, Shaedon, and, of course, Clingan, 3 guys to be excited about with what we're seeing of late. Now, the other 2 have been nothing short of stellar this year for the Blazers. Toumani Camara, the leap from year 1 to year 2 has been awesome, and we're seeing it culminate now in better offense. He had 23 points recently, and yesterday set a career high with 24 points. And what I love about his approach yesterday is that after the game, he wasn't happy just having a good offensive game. Like, he is feeling more confidence with the offense, but he was more bitter because he didn't like his one-on-one defense. And when I hear players talk like that, it pumps me up because it tells you that their mindset and their focus is proper. And that's Toumani Camara. But take a listen to this. Here he is. Ask about whether or not that was one of his best offensive games, and instead he focuses on the defense. He didn't like his defensive game yesterday against OKC.
Yes, just how efficient it was offensively. and I feel like I was able to make great reads. But yeah, I feel like defensively, it wasn't a great game for me. I feel like I was getting beat on one-on-ones way too easily, which is something that I take a lot of pride in. And I don't know, there's just some days where, I mean, the effort was still there. It's just, I don't know, I wasn't moving my feet like I usually do, and it was frustrating. But a lot of times my teammates had my back. But yeah, it's just on to the next one and just learn from this game.
Gosh, I love that. His approach, his attitude, his play, his length. He's got everything you want. He is that quintessential 3-and-D guy. But the guy never stops. He takes on the other team's best player. He works his ass off throughout the game. He grinds, and he's improving offensively, both working off the bounce and with the three-point shot. They got a steal in that deal when they brought in Tamani Kamara, and you could see it with his play. He and Denny Avdia have been the two best players from start up until right now this season for the Blazers, no question about it. So there's your fourth guy, young player who's developing nicely, Tamani Kamara. And the other, of course, is Denny Avdia, who was awesome yesterday. A near triple-double, 28 points, 8 boards, 8 assists. And he's developing as a leader. He's connecting with his teammates. He's becoming very good vocally in the way he communicates with everyone. And he talked about the loss yesterday.
I thought we fought pretty good. It was one quarter they kind of ran. And I think we try to chase the tail from that moment. But look, it's the first seed in the West, good team, and I feel like we did a lot of great things. We've been playing better, coming off a four-game winning streak, and you can just see how we're playing much, much better and how we're growing individually and as a team. I know we didn't beat them today, but we held our ground for sure.
They don't make the overseas players like they used to. Back in the late 80s and early 90s when the Euros would come in, they were known and being labeled as soft. But Denny Avdia is part of that new generation of European players, foreign-born players who come in with a certain level of physicality. Denny Avdia is terrific in transition. He's a good decision-maker with the ball in his hands. He can shoot. He can defend. He's relentless. He's everything you want in a basketball player. And there's player number 5. Those 5 guys, I am confident, are a part of the future of this basketball team. Those 5 players are very young. Those 5 players are going to have a chance to grow together. And then those 5 players will also get a chance to play with whoever they get in the upcoming draft, Cooper, Flagg, whoever. And I think that is a good foundation for this team moving forward. Now, it's frustrating because it takes a lot of pain and losses to get to this point, but now we're seeing some definition with these young players. And that's a good place to be. All right, we'll keep things rolling here. Chad Doing with you. Hope you're enjoying your Monday afternoon with the blue skies and sunshine. Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio, talking some ball coming up next here on the Rip City Drive.
pitches it out to Barkley, takes off to the outside. He's at the 50, he's at the 40, he's at the 30, he's going to go! 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Saquon Barkley, 60 yards on his opening
touchdown play. Mahomes keeps it on an RPO at the 5, gets a lead block. He goes into the end zone near side. Touchdown, Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes, a 16-yard run, his second rushing touchdown of the game. And the pass is incomplete, off the arm of the would-be receiver, Dalton Kincaid. Kansas City has the second fourth down stop in this half.
You know, I can't do any of those things without the guys around me, the preparation we put in. We got to finish it. It's a sense of togetherness for us to all come together and try and achieve the ultimate team goal, and we've done a great job of that to this point of being able to put ourselves in this position.
All right, Super Bowl 59 is set, and joining us right now to discuss, my good friend, my brother from Fox Sports Radio, Mr. Brian Obino. What's up, brother?
What is going on, Chad? Doing? You know, that was very nice. You putting together the clips and everything. It flowed very nicely. I do have to react to, I just love that there's a divorce attorney, Reed, you know, like, and you and I are speaking to each other, right? I think it's very fitting, unfortunately, right, Chad?
Yeah, I know it's kind of weird, but I'll say this. You and I have stood the test of time. We've gone through in-studio fights, disagreements, frustration, and yet now we're boys who figured out a way to strap a mattress to a back of a truck and transport it across town. We've been through it all.
We have. We've been through it all. And you know what? This is the beauty of this whole thing. We've been through it. We've butted heads. We never got divorced, Chad.
No.
Right? You and I, we're still holding true. That is great right there.
Well, I think in the end, this is what it comes down to for this type of work that we do. We understand how crazy it is, the grind that's involved. And so I think in the end, you just look around at the people you work with or the competition you have, you just have respect because you understand what goes into it. You got to be some type of crazy to be in the radio biz.
Yeah, you do. Absolutely. And I think you understand crazy because it does make you crazy to a degree. And you might be crazy to begin with,
yes.
You know? So
and
you
I
understand other people's craziness. Absolutely.
No doubt. Well, it's great to have you on. I want to start with the Kansas City Chiefs. They got the job done again. We'll get to the Bills in a moment. I guess what I respect most about the Kansas City Chiefs, I know people want to whine about the officiating and how they're lucky, but I think they create their own luck because they're so good in the details, especially in situational football. And yesterday I thought was a great example. They spread the football around to multiple receivers. They barely got Kelsey involved, but Xavier Worthy had a big game. And then they know how to mix in the runs with Patrick Mahomes. I just thought the diverse attack and the way they're able to utilize all of their pieces to make that happen was impressive. What did you see with Kansas City's attack?
Yeah, no, I thought very similar things there where, I woke up this morning, Chad, and I don't know what email thing I joined, but they'll send me like a quote of the day.
Yes.
Okay? And it just seemed so fitting for the Chiefs where it was from this guy, he's an author, Edward Gibbon. And at one point he wrote, "The winds and waves are always on the side of the ablest navigators."
Yes.
And I'm like, does that not make you think of Mahomes and the Chiefs? And yeah, they've gotten a couple of breaks here and there, but the silliness is that there are so many people that want to make the breaks the reason why they are where they are. And it's not the reason why. It's because of everything else that they bring to the table. So I thought Josh Allen probably picked up that first down. And the refs didn't give him the spot. And that ended up being a turnover on downs. That was a monstrous play in the game. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
But to make that out to be why the Bills lost, I just don't agree with that. And I don't think there was anything sinister. I don't think there was anything like it's fixed and they're cheating for the Chiefs or anything. It's just football, Chad. How many years have been watching this? It's the old left foot, right foot thing.
Yep.
Like sometimes the ball is spotted on the left and you get the first down. Sometimes it's on the right foot and you don't get the first down. That's been happening since the beginning of football. So I don't see anything different there. And what the Chiefs did, like, can you pick on things that the Bills didn't do beyond the officiating? Like, yeah, a lot of things.
Yes.
And even if they got that spot, I'm not convinced that they win the football game. So that to me was a lot different. I know, speaking of us butting heads, Chad, we butted heads the NFC Championship game years ago when it was blatant pass interference and the Saints didn't get the call.
That's right.
Against the Rams. That was at the end of the game. If that call is made, chip shot field goal, hello Super Bowl for the Saints. If the Bills pick up that first down early in the fourth quarter, you can't say for sure they win that game at all. There's a big difference between those two games in my mind.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. And I also thought the Bills, talking about situational football, I felt like they became a little bit predictable with the quarterback run. The Chiefs knew it was going to come. They were ready for it. I thought he picked up the first down more than likely. But again, when you run that play in that situation, you leave yourself in the hands of the officials, and it's always tough to know exactly where the ball is at. So they didn't pick it up without question and put themselves in that gray area, and it's unfortunate. So I want to ask you about that. Do you think the NFL at some point might be able to come up with something with all the technological advances to be able to know where the football is at so you can have a better spot than a couple of guys with cataracts running in from the sideline? Is that possible?
Yes, I think so because, I mean, look around, right? Like, look at tennis is a great example of this.
Hawkeye, baby.
Oh, it's so good, Chad. I was all over the Australian Open. It was great. And modern technology, right? You have such a better idea of where that ball is. And so they don't have like a chip in the tennis ball, but it's modern technology, right? Like, is there a way for the NFL to be more accurate with where the ball is? Yeah, I think so. And they have some of this technology available already with like a chip in the ball. And as long as they could do that where the ball still goes through the air the same way, it's the same weight, a quarterback would never know the difference. If you can be more accurate that way with having a better idea of where that ball is, I am all for it. I think we're overdue for that type of advancement.
We're talking with Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio here on the Rip City Drive. For the Bills, if you were going to nitpick, what did you not like about their attack, either first half, second half, that maybe prevented them from being in a position to win?
Yeah, well, a few things. You mentioned it being so predictable with those quarterback sneaks. How many times did Tony Romo say they always go left? Every time they always go left. Spagnuolo, Andy Reid, the Chiefs, they were well aware of that as well. And that came back to bite the Bills. And I also think James Cook, he could have been utilized more. James Cook, I hate to bring up sore memories, Chad, but he had a big day against your Broncos in their first playoff game.
Yikes.
And he was pretty good last week against the Ravens as well, and they have the #1 rush defense. They found some success with James Cook in that second half, and they didn't keep feeding him as much as I thought they could have. So those were a couple of things. And then just defensively, it's like, bro, how many wide-open receivers are we going to see out there? You can't make it easier on Mahomes. I know Christian Benford went out with the concussion. That was a huge loss for them. But Kaiir Elam, he's a former first-round pick. He didn't look like that at all. They had a field day picking on that guy. And so defensively, they had to tighten the screws big time. And they were way, way, way too leaky defensively collectively. That was not a good enough performance by them.
So where do the Bills go from here? I mean, that is a gut-wrenching loss. Josh Allen now 0-4 against the Chiefs in the postseason. What's the next step for them to try and get it right?
Man, it's one of these deals, Chad, where it's like, do you keep going through the same thing with Sean McDermott? They probably will, and I'm not hanging that loss on him, but they're just going to run it back with the normal suspects, right? You're going to have Josh Allen, and the nucleus is going to stay the same, and then you just try to tweak it. You'll try to maybe make a free agent move here or there, maybe a splash here or there. You know, they brought in Amari Cooper, and he did next to nothing. That was like a breakout performance for him last night. 4 catches for 33 yards. You're like, holy cow. Like Amari Cooper's doing something. He did nothing, and I thought that trade could be better than it was for them. But that was a midseason trade. But that's the point, is they're going to look to try to find little edges personnel-wise that could put them in a better spot. But, I mean, they're not going to do anything that's like a wide sweeping change or anything like that. They're going to bring it back with the normal suspects and hope Josh Allen is special enough to finally get over that Mahomes mountaintop.
How about the Bills making that deal with the Chiefs? during the draft, which allowed them to get Xavier Worthy, and then he comes out to be the best receiver in yesterday's game. That was unbelievable how it came back to haunt them.
That would be another step in the offseason, right, Chad?
Don't do anything with Kansas City.
Yeah. Let's not make a trade with the Chiefs. If the Chiefs call hey, we'd like to move up, you need to slam the phone down, okay? What are you doing? I don't know how they made that move and thought that would be a good idea, but you're totally right. Xavier Worthy has 6 catches for 85 yards and a touchdown. He has a couple of rushes for 16 yards. He had over 100 yards, and you traded with Kansas City to allow them to get that guy. That's just, come on, man. That's a football sin right there. Yeah, no deals with the Chiefs in the offseason. None.
0. Don't do it. Just leave it alone. Credit to Steve Spagnuolo, too. That synergy between him and Andy Reid is special, but the fact that he called that corner blitz on 4th down and 5 and got that type of pressure on Josh Allen, it takes a lot of balls to be able to do that, but he knows his guys so well, and they're so well coached that he knew they would execute, and he's got the guts to make those type of calls in those type of situations.
I mean, absolutely. Fully agree with that, Chad. It was a great call by Spags. And Josh Allen, for him to make that throw.
Gosh.
And for Kincaid to drop it. Chad, with the history of the Bills, and if he somehow catches that ball, which he should have, the drive stays alive, you're down by a field goal with over 2 minutes to play. You might have won the game on a final touchdown winning drive. And I know it's not a normal football play, obviously, and Kincaid had to stop and change direction and come up with the ball. It would have been a tough catch, but he'd be the first one to tell you he should have caught that ball.
Do you think he dropped it because he was surprised it got there in the middle of all that traffic? I just can't believe that Josh got it to where it was supposed to be. That was an impressive throw under immense pressure.
Yeah, I think it was just, it's such an uncommon play. There's no play in the Bills playbook that would have Dalton Kincaid run that route, and for Josh Allen to lob it up like that. There's nothing like that. So I think it's because it was so uncommon. That's the main reason. And I don't know, Chad. It's one of these things, too, not to get too philosophical, but there was one, I wish I could remember who said this exactly. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it was either a player or a coach on a team that had kept on coming up short. And it might have actually been the head coach of a basketball team where it was the Michigan, like the Fab Five documentary. Remember, Fisher was the head coach of Michigan. And he mentioned, he was like, it's like a feather falling through the air. And sometimes when you're the underdog or you keep on coming up short, instead of just letting the feather fall into your hand, you try to grab it.
Yeah.
You're trying to grab the feather, and it's causing it to fly further away. And I don't know. Maybe there's something like that with the Bills finally having a chance to get over the Chiefs, and maybe he pressed a little bit too much. Maybe. But I think more than likely it was just such an uncommon play. He just didn't come down with it. But, hey, man, how many times do we see Hail Marys and weird plays that are made? You got to find a way to catch that ball. That's a football sin, again, to drop a ball where Josh Allen makes that type of play. When he threw it up there, I'm like, yeah, good luck. And then I saw Kincaid, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, he should have caught that. Craziness.
Well, in the NFC Championship game, I thought it all turned right there before the first half came to an end when they had the missed 2-point conversion, which would have tied it. They then gave up the PI on 3rd and 13, which resulted in the Philly touchdown. They fumbled the kickoff return after that TD. Then they had the late hit on 3rd down, Philadelphia touchdown, and before you know it, you're down 15, game over. That's where it all turned for me. But overall, what did you think about the dominant performance, which featured 7 rushing touchdowns for the Eagles?
Wow. How crazy is that, right?
Jeez.
Like 7 rushing touchdowns.
So many different ways to win in the NFL. It's awesome.
And it's funny too, Chad, because you mentioned all the rushing touchdowns, and you would think, man, what kind of day did Jalen Hurts have? Did they turn into like Navy or Army's offense where he threw like 3 passes? No, he completed 20 passes for 246 and a touchdown through the air, like on top of all the rushing success. So, wow, what a day by Philly's offense. And, yeah, far too sloppy for Washington. I was thinking, if you're a member of the Detroit Lions and you're watching Washington stink it up like that, be undisciplined, fumbling left and right, you have to be thinking, like, my gosh, how are we on the couch just watching this game instead of being in it? And who knows what would have happened if it was the Lions hosting the Eagles? We'll never know. But, man, yesterday's performance by Washington would have to make the Lions even sicker. You know what I mean? That they came up short against the same team. That's rough.
Yeah, it was brutal. You know, the one thing I'll say about Philadelphia, I think we all agree that roster-wise, they're the best from top down, and they have been all year, and they're so strong at the line of scrimmage. This has got the makings of a classic, just like we got 2 years ago.
Yeah, it really does. And that's the thing here, Chad, where my gut lean is Eagles. And I don't know if that's who I'm going to end up taking here, but just what you said, they have the better roster. And as soon as I start thinking, yeah, but am I going to bet against Mahomes
You're crazy
and Andy
to do
Reid
it.
and
Crazy.
Spags, you know? But I start thinking about I thought about Super Bowl 42. Who was taking the Giants on the money line in that game?
Nobody.
You know? There's Brady and Belichick and everything an undefeated Patriots team brought to the table, and they lost. There's a reason why we've never had a three-peat in the entire NFL. So I think the Eagles are absolutely live. They do have the better roster, but you are, if you're betting Philly, you're taking Hurts and Sirianni over Mahomes and Andy Reid, which is, whoo, baby, that is dancing with the betting devil right there. But, hey, I wouldn't be shocked if Philly pulls it out, Chad.
I wouldn't either. So with this potential of winning 3 straight Super Bowls, what will this do for Mahomes and his legacy if he's able to do something that's never been done before in his pursuit of Tom Brady?
It's a monster accomplishment if he's able to pull this off. They showed it last night on SportsCenter. The other, I think it's 8 teams. You might have it in front of you. There are 8 teams that had a chance to three-peat, and 3 of them missed the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, like no team made it to the Super Bowl. And here the Chiefs are on the doorstep of completing this three-peat. It would be a huge accomplishment. And he's getting into Brady territory real fast here, Chad, where you look at his resume, he's not even 30 years old. So you start thinking about this when it's all said and done for Mahomes, what will his resume need to look like to be recognized by most as the GOAT? If he doesn't have 7 rings, he needs to have some things that Brady doesn't have on his resume. And a three-peat would be one of the biggest things you could have. So I think, like, legacy-wise, and if you're comparing Mahomes to Brady, yeah, capping this off and winning a three-peat, that would be monstrous. And make no mistake, I know a lot of people love to whine and make a bigger deal than the reality is about these calls that sometimes go the Chiefs' way. That's going to be a footnote 10 years from now. No one's going to be like, yeah, but remember the one AFC title game and Josh Allen? No one's going to bring that up if they win a three-peat. You'd be shocked how much you forget over the years. And that is going to be an absolute footnote very quickly here over the next 5 or 10 years. Not going to be a big deal at all.
The only team I can remember that had a legit chance, like a truly legit chance to three-peat, would have been the 1990 49ers. And they got knocked out in the NFC title game at home by the New York Giants. Montana got cracked, and they ended up winning the game late on a Matt Barr field goal, and they went on and beat the Bills in the Super Bowl. That 49er team was unbelievable. I was convinced they were going to do it, and they couldn't get over the hump. And now Mahomes has one more game against a legit opponent to pull it off. I'm glad the storyline's there. It's going to make for an exciting Super Bowl Sunday.
And that was crazy, too, right? Remember old Leonard Marshall?
Yes.
I think that's who crushed Joe Montana.
Yeah.
And then the Roger Craig fumble,
Brutal.
man. Like, Roger Craig was so good. I loved watching that guy play. And he opened the door for the Barr field goal. And, you know, I'll never forget Carthon running on the field and jumping up and the slow motion of Parcells. Yeah. Dude, that is NFL lore right there. But I'll tell you what, Chad, I thought the Patriots had a decent chance to three-peat, and your Broncos took them down. Remember
That's right.
The
Champ
the
Bailey
divisional
play?
round.
Yeah, the Champ Bailey play, which is one of the top plays in franchise history. And of course, on that play, Benjamin Watson tracked him down and knocked him out. But they didn't have the right camera angle. I still don't know if that ball was in or out. I have no idea.
I don't either. But even more reason to get that technology in the football, you know? We need that. But, you know, I just think about spotting it on 4th and short. Like, think about any technological advancements with did it go into the end zone or not? By the way, while we're changing stuff, can we change that? The dumbest rule of all time, where a fumble through the end zone is an automatic touchback for the other team. Yeah. Can we change that while we're at it, Chad? Please?
Yeah, to drive 98 yards, you get down there and you fumble it into the end zone, and somehow it doesn't go back to the spot of the fumble, but the other team gets the ball at the 20 touchback. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's insanity, right? It's lunacy. That's the one saving grace. All these ridiculous fans that are whining about the calls yesterday, that rule makes even less sense than them. You know, that's how we can maintain our sanity today with the whiners.
Well, you're the man. I appreciate you coming on. I can't wait to talk to you next week as we get close to this game, but I think it's going to be an awesome Super Bowl. I can't wait.
Oh, man, Chad, anytime, dude. Always great talking ball with you. I'm so fired up for this matchup. And, hey, we get an extra week to talk about it, man. I'm looking forward to that, too.
I love it. I'll be in touch, brother.
All right, bud. You have a good night.
All right, if you're on hold, stay there. I'll get to your phone calls next. We got a pair of tickets to give away for the Trailblazers and Magic coming up at 5. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing. Big thanks to Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio. All right, pair of tickets to give away coming up at 5 o'clock. So we have a Trailblazer ticket Monday and a Trailblazer ticket Tuesday. Pair of tickets for Orlando coming up at 5. All you have to do is listen to me for your chance to win. And tomorrow, we kick off our 50-50 raffle for ALS Northwest. We'll have all the details for you tomorrow when the site goes live. Mike Lynch, our colleague, is the one who inspired this as we continue to do work for ALS Northwest to raise money for those who are impacted by the horrific disease and the families who are burdened with caring for loved ones who are suffering from the disease. And we're going to kick it off tomorrow. I'll have a 4-pack of tickets to give away for the Coors Light Silver Seats for Sunday's game. I'll be live with the Rip City Drive at 3 at Dr. Jack's. That will go up until 5. Chris Burkhart's going to join me, and he'll have Blazers Game Day live at 5 from Dr. Jack's tomorrow as we get ready for the Trailblazers and Bucks. I was talking with Brian Noah about the technology in the NFL, and at some point they got to find a better way to spot the football. I don't want a couple of old dudes with cataracts rambling in from the sideline trying to figure out where the ball is supposed to be spotted. It's tough when you got all the big bodies out there, the vision, knowing where the ball's at. There's got to be a way to insert a chip or something to know exactly where that ball reaches. Is it the line of gain or not? They got to find a way to figure that out. Let's go out to Astoria. David is joining me right now. David, what's your take on technology in the game?
Well, I want to agree and disagree with you and Mr. No. But first, I want to say I've been a sometime listener since you first came on the air. And I got to say, you have really turned your show into something excellent. I'm very much appreciate how you've grown and how you've become more adept at radio in general. Your quality of your guests, everything, your knowledge, everything. I'm just really impressed. So kudos to you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
On the agree side, I agree that it's really important to get a good spot. It's really important to get good calls in general. And if there were a technological fix, I would be all for it. I really think that would help a lot. Now, I disagree. You guys were poo-pooing the notion of bad spots or bad calls having an impact on the game. And I don't think you give enough credence to the fact that football is a game of momentum. And sometimes a bad spot won't make any difference, and sometimes a bad spot or a bad call is impossible to tell the ramifications of. But I have seen time after time after time where somebody's mounting a comeback or whatever, and a bad spot or a bad call just takes the wind out of their sails, and it makes all the difference. So I think you have to give some credence to the importance of deflating momentum with a bad call.
Well, it definitely does. Let me ask you a question. Did you think they got the spot wrong on that 4th down yesterday?
I did. I'm a KC fan, although I have to say I'm really enjoying watching Josh Allen and discovering how very, very, very wrong I was about what his prospects were coming out of college. But mostly I'm a KC fan. I like the coach. I like the culture. I like the players. But yeah, I think that it's very, very likely that it was a bad spot.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think he probably got the first down, but again, it's hard to tell in those situations. Now, I want to ask this. As a Chief fan, what's it like to be a fan of a team that's on the verge of winning 3 straight Super Bowls? That probably doesn't suck very much, does it?
Well, I'm kind of a mild Chiefs fan. I'm not a rabid Chiefs fan. I'm more of a Chargers fan because of their quarterback. I'm an Oregon fan, and also I'm becoming a
Bronco fan.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And who would have thought that had ever happened?
Well, I tell you what, David, good phone call. I appreciate your time, and thank you for the kind words, my friend. There's David in Astoria. Yeah, the Broncos had a chance to three-peat once, but Elway retired after the second straight Super Bowl, and they started the next year with Brian Griese at quarterback. So I knew before the season began they had no chance. But clearly the Chiefs are right there, and they're favored by 2 in this matchup. All right, Trailblazer Ticket Monday. I got a pair of tickets for the Magic. We'll give those away next. All you have to do is listen to me for a chance to win. You got the Rip City Drive. All right, what's going on, my friends? It's now 5 o'clock. Super Bowl 59 is set.
And the pass is incomplete! Incomplete! Off the arm of the would-be receiver, Dalton Kincaid! Kansas City has the second fourth down stop in this half.
Chiefs and Eagles rematch from 2 years ago. It's going to be Sunday, February 9th in New Orleans. KC is a 2-point favorite. They're trying to become the first team to win 3 straight Super Bowls. Elsewhere in the league, Steelers owner Art Rooney says his preference is that the team brings back either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. Aaron Glenn, new head coach of the Jets, says Aaron Rodgers will be evaluated like everyone else on the roster. Your Portland Trailblazers had a 4-game winning streak snapped yesterday by the Thunder. Denny Avdia with 28, Tamani Kamara with a career-high 24. The Blazers will host the Bucks and Dame tomorrow night. Tip-off at 7. We'll be live from Dr. Jack's from 3 until 6 as we kick off our 50-50 rally for ALS Northwest. Keep us together. All right, I'll have the cue to call in just a moment. Is that Captain and Tennille? Yeah, very nice, Shacker. I like that song. Curtis Long and I were going down a list of some random songs yesterday, but I'm a fan of Captain and Tennille for sure. All right, cue to call for the Trailblazer tickets in just a moment. I want to remind everyone what we have coming up tomorrow. We're going to kick off our 50-50 raffle to support ALS Northwest. We'll have all the details, QR code, where you need to go, and how you can buy tickets for the raffle to not only put yourself in a position to get some extra cash, but to support ALS Northwest, which is what it's all about. Mike Lynch inspired this after he was diagnosed with ALS last year, and we want to continue to support the families and those who are in need and dealing with this horrific disease. Also, my grandfather passed away from ALS, and he had it for years. And so for me, I never had a chance to hear my grandpa talk when I was old enough to remember him, and I would go out and visit him often during the summers or during spring break in Ponca City, Oklahoma, which is about an hour and a half from where I live, just outside of Tulsa. He was in a chair, and he had a typewriter where he would communicate different, messages. And I could go up and give him a hug, and we'd hang out with him. But when a movie came on HBO that he deemed to be inappropriate for my brother and I, and back then in the early 80s, it usually involved Eddie Murphy or Richard Pryor, he would send a message on the typewriter saying, you guys need to go to the back room. And we weren't allowed to watch. But he found different ways to communicate with me, either through the typewriter. He would have me play different records for him. He was a big country music fan. And while I'm not a country music fan per se, growing up in Oklahoma, I still have country in my roots. So I came to like certain artists and different songs that he enjoyed listening to. So we play records together. He was also a huge golf fan. And before he became stricken with ALS, he was a golfer. And I still remember these cups, these glass cups that were sitting on top of the refrigerator there at my grandparents' house that he got. He got like a set of 6 after he hit a hole-in-one out there. I think it was at Wentz, which is the local golf course there in Ponca City. And he was in that condition, unable to move, for 20 years until he finally passed away. But what I remember the most was my grandma, who had to sacrifice everything, where she would get up every morning and she would get him out of bed, get him in the bathroom, get him cleaned up, bathe him, shave him, take care of him. And she wouldn't begin her day or anything that she wanted to take care of until he was in a position to where he could be in his chair and be set up for the day. And that is sacrifice. And from what my mom tells me, he wasn't exactly the best husband, but she remained committed and took care of him, which was impressive. But that's the reality of the disease, is that the loved ones who are left to deal with it have to make a lot of sacrifice. And there's a lot of expense and cost that's involved in caring for someone with ALS. So we have a chance to make a difference is what I'm trying to communicate to you. All right, Trailblazer Ticket Monday and Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. I've got a 4-pack of tickets I'm going to give away tomorrow for the Coors Light Silver Seats for the game coming up on Sunday against the Phoenix Suns. Right now, I've got a pair of tickets for the Orlando Magic, one of the good young teams with young talent in the NBA. It's coming up at Moda Center. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday is courtesy of your Portland Trailblazers, and for all of your ticket needs, just simply head over to trailblazers.com. So in honor of Patrick Mahomes, who has a chance to win 3 straight Super Bowls coming up in 2 weeks, we'll take caller 15 right now. 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. Call now. Fire away. 15th caller will get a pair of tickets for the Trailblazers and Magic. 503-248-0620. Call now, and you'll get a pair of tickets. 15th caller, Trailblazers and Magic. And then tomorrow, listen to me for your chance to win the 4-pack for the Coors Light Silver Seats at Moda Center for the game coming up against Phoenix. 503-248-0620. I want to hear from a Trailblazer fan. 503-248-0620. All right. We saw the games yesterday, and I've seen all the comments on social media, and it's so easy and lazy for us as sports fans to adopt the simple analysis. Kansas City is not back in the Super Bowl and competing for their 3rd straight championship because somehow they're lucky or somehow they're the benefactor of the officiating. Do they get fortunate calls because of their superstar power with Patrick Mahomes? Yes, at times they do. But is that the reason they're competing for a 3rd straight championship, which has never been done? No. So you've got to take yourself out of that frame of mind. I don't care if you hate Mahomes, if you hate the Chiefs, if you don't like the Kool-Aid man or whatever the case may be. You at least need to step back and respect the fact that they're a great football team. And I'm telling you, and I've learned this in my life with all the greats that I've seen come throughout the course of my time following sports, whether it's a great player or a great team, you need to enjoy it while you have it because eventually it's going to be gone. And Patrick Mahomes and this version of the Kansas City Chiefs with Andy Reid is tremendous. One of the very best teams we've ever seen in the NFL. And they have a chance to do something we've never seen before with 3 straight Super Bowls. But it's not because of luck. It's not because they get calls. It's because they are well-coached, well-run organization that's great at situational football, meaning 4th down and 5 late in the game, you need to stop to get the win and secure a spot in the Super Bowl. Steve Spagnuolo comes up with the perfect blitz call to put pressure on Josh Allen to force a miracle-type throw that winds up incomplete, Chiefs take over, and they seal the game. That's what I'm talking about. Or 3rd down, you need a conversion to get the 1st down and run out the clock, and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid come up with the perfect play to get Samaje Perine coming across the defense wide open. Why does he get wide open in that spot? Because Andy Reid knows how to scheme it up, and Patrick Mahomes knows how to execute. Or they find different wrinkles within the game plan, like, for instance, yesterday with Mahomes' legs, to utilize him as a runner to take advantage of some matchups, and he wound up with 2 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes with his legs yesterday was highly effective.
1st down play. Mahomes keeps it on an RPO at the 5. Gets a lead block. He goes into the end zone near side. Touchdown, Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes, a 16-yard run. His 2nd rushing touchdown of the game.
Yeah, he was tremendous. So what do the Chiefs do? 1, they're great in situational football. 2, they don't beat themselves. 3, they don't make huge special team gaffes. They're sound in all 3 phases of the game. And when they get an opportunity to capitalize after the Bills did not convert on 4th down, they go down and get the touchdown and the 2-point conversion and put themselves in a position of strength. They just know how to win, and they do so well in tight games. You don't win the number of 1-score games they have over the last couple of years because you're lucky. You do it because you execute extremely well in clutch situations. And that's part of the synergy between Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo. They know their personnel. They know what they want to do. And when they get in those situations, they call plays, and they've laid everything out so clearly throughout their preparation that the players know how to execute. And it does help when you have elite players. Patrick Mahomes is the best. And yesterday, Xavier Worthy, who they made a deal with during the draft with the Buffalo Bills, ended up being their top receiver. And Travis Kelce was more of a decoy in that football game. But the Chiefs had great balance. They ran the football. Mahomes was very efficient, and they made the plays they had to win the game. And what I respect about Andy Reid is his flexibility to call games and to devise different game plans based on the personnel that he has available, whatever the strengths of his team may be. And we've seen the maturations of the Chiefs over the years. When Mahomes first started playing, they had Tyreek Hill, and they were bombs away. Big play offense, a lot of points. They had issues with the defense, but they were going to outscore you. So it was throttle on the offense. But the last couple of years, they've evolved more into a defensive team with great talent on that side of the ball led by Chris Jones and Steve Spagnuolo, who knows how to call a game. He's ultra aggressive, and they want to put pressure on you throughout. And so what did Andy Reid do? He's like, okay, we're going to lean on our defense. So we're going to play more ball control. We're not going to put the ball at risk. We're going to run the football a little bit more, shorten the game, and then we'll ask Patrick Mahomes to do what he does best, which is make plays and convert on third down to move the chains. They just keep things simple. And they've got great players who can go out and execute. And then they get the occasional special teams play, whether it's a blocked field goal or a critical return to set their offense up in a position to score. They find different ways to accentuate what they do to put their offense and their defense in good positions. And they do it game in and game out. And I know it gets tired to watch the same team have success and to be really good at what they do, but they're great. Like, I can't hate on them because Andy Reid's very likable. Patrick Mahomes is very likable. But their execution is top-notch. And Andy Reid, after the game, very happy about Steve Spagnuolo, who has come in and brought direction to that defense. Direction and confidence, and there's synergy that exists between the two.
You know, I have the utmost respect for him, and I know he'd be a great head coach. I don't want to lose him selfishly, but I know what kind of coach he is, and I know the situation that he was in with the Rams and all that. And you know, you give him another opportunity, and he'll do a great job there. But that I can't determine that, and we don't have time to worry too much about that with all this going on.
Yeah. He's got great coaches around him. That's a well-run organization. For Josh Allen, you could hear the hurt in his voice after another defeat, now 0-4 against Mahomes in the postseason.
I got so much pride in our guys, showing up each and every day, working as hard as they can. You know, guys truly adopted what we talked about this year going into it. Yeah, love these guys. To be the champs, you got to beat the champs, and we didn't do it tonight.
Yeah, it's tough. Props to Kansas City for being really good at all the little things you need to be good at to win football games in pressure-packed situations. And Mahomes is unflappable. There was no doubt in my mind after they got the ball, after that fourth down stop, they were going to go down and score, and they did. And on 4th down and 5, what does Spagnuolo do? He brings the corner.
And the pass is incomplete! Incomplete! Off the arm of the would-be receiver, Dalton Kincaid! Kansas City has the second 4th down stop in this half.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here. Rip City Drive. And we got a winner for the tickets, Shacker. He's giving me the yes sign. We got a winner for the tickets.
Yes, but he was too shy to go on the air.
Who was it? I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I just thought you might remember his name.
Martin from Portland.
Martin from Portland. Congratulations. Tomorrow, when we're at Dr. Jack's, I'll give away the 4-pack for the Coors Light Silver Seats during the Rip City Drive. Just listen to me for a chance to win. That will be for the Phoenix game coming up on Sunday. All right, don't forget tomorrow, live at Dr. Jack's starting at 3 o'clock as we get ready for Dame's return to Moda. Bucks and Trailblazers, and we're going to kick off our 50-50 raffle for ALS Northwest. Once we have the QR code and all the details, the site's live, we'll be sending out all of that so you'll be able to contribute. Chris Cohn reached out to me. Chris, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. We'll have all the details tomorrow. I don't want to give anything out right now because it's not live. And I'll upset people if we have people going there to try and make things happen. But you'll have your opportunities, and it's going to go for several weeks as we sell raffle tickets to raise money for ALS Northwest, inspired by Mr. Mike Lynch, who was diagnosed with ALS last year. Horrific. Absolutely horrific. And I think for Mike, just like everyone else, you start to recognize issues, and then you go to seek help and you get the diagnosis, and it's crushing. Absolutely crushing. So we have a chance to make a difference, and we'll kick things off tomorrow with our 50-50 raffle. All right, a couple of different things I want to touch on, and it involves coaches. First off, Jerry Jones. Brian Schottenheimer introduces the Dallas Cowboys' new head coach, and this is one of those hires, and it's probably has a lot to do with how high profile that position is, being head coach of the Cowboys and Jerry Jones being the owner, and he's an outspoken owner. I love Jerry Jones. He's crazy, he's funny, but I respect owners that want to come out and talk and answer questions and be active and involved. And I know he wants to win. He doesn't always go about it the right way, but I know he cares about winning, and that's my key ingredient for any owner. Do you want to win badly? Do you want to win as much as I want you to win? Because fans care a lot. And so at least if your owner cares and wants to win, then that's a good thing. But Jerry Jones also loves to hear himself talk. But here he is at the press conference discussing the hire of Brian Schottenheimer. Take a listen.
I spent a nice part of my early 4 or 5 years with the Dallas Cowboys defending why not Coach Landry and defending why Jimmy would make a good coach. I think one time I said he's worth 5 Heisman trophies to be a good coach. Did I know? No, but I knew Jimmy, okay? Had I interviewed countless thousands of coaches? No, not at all. So what I'm here to tell you is this was a thorough process. Shaded by whatever my experiences have been, shaded by my experiences with Stephen and Charlotte and Jerry, shaded by many things. We all are involved in this. And what I would say for the fans is that, yes, to some, and it might be couched as a less than glamorous hire. What I would say to you is I got here taking shots and not shoddy shots. I got here taking shots. Good things have happened. Let me tell you something. There's some stuff to be had over there where not many people go. There is. Don't think for 1 minute I won't take a shot. This was risky. This is risky. But by the same token, how often can you take a risk when someone has had over 30 years, almost 30 years of being around coaches, of being around players? That's 2/3 of his life. And then the rest of it growing up in a football-oriented, NFL-oriented family, if you will. I think this might make something special. So I'm all behind what we're, to say the very least, Clarence, for your benefit, I'm all in here.
How do you think Schottenheimer felt when Jerry was talking about, hey, this is a risky move? It's really risky. Come on, Jerry. Try and instill some confidence in your new coach. Schottenheimer, of course, comes from a football family. Got his first assistant job back in '97, so he's been around the game for a long time. Now, some might wonder why he's never had the opportunity to be a head coach. This is what I'll say about the hire. A couple of things. One, my frustration is the process. They waited too long to part ways with Mike McCarthy, which prevented them from being able to interview and spend time with some of the top candidates available for this cycle. That was a mistake. Even if you're not going to hire them, at least getting a chance to talk with them for 2 reasons. One, you might hear something that you're like, wow, we got to hire this person. We got to make an effort to hire this guy because he's so much better than what I thought. That happens sometimes. You go into an interview, you don't know what to expect, and they blow your socks off. That gives you an opportunity. Also, the more people you talk to and the more people that lay out their plan for your team and your organization, you're going to learn and be able to gather data. Data that can help you become a better franchise and football team. But they missed out on that. Now, in regards to Schottenheimer, look, I don't know if it's going to work or not. But think about some of the recent hires where we all thought the hire was absurd, and it turned out to be terrific. Dan Campbell would be one. It looks like a genius hire right now, but when he was hired, we all thought it was the Detroit Lions doing what they do, making bad decisions and bringing in people that have no clue of what they're doing. I'm sorry, but when you talk about biting people at the press conference, we're going to assume that you don't know what you're doing. But he does. He laid a foundation, he's built a culture, and they're a tough football team that's been knocking on the Super Bowl doorstep the last couple of years. And that was a hire that was not popular because people thought he was crazy, and he might be. But he's done a heck of a job. Also, Nick Sirianni. Now, he's definitely crazy. If you're walking around on the sideline during a game taunting your fans, Philly fans, who have no issue taking a run at Mike Schmidt or Santa Claus, then you're a little bit crazy. But it worked out with Sirianni as he's got them back to another Super Bowl. So, again, just because everyone says it's not going to work doesn't mean it's not going to work. But for Jerry, he's got to get better with the process. He wants to win, but once again, he waited too long and put himself in a position where he's stuck with Brian Schottenheimer. And I hope it works because I feel bad for Schottenheimer. He's taken a lot of heat all because of the Cowboys process that he had nothing to do with. Elsewhere, Pete Carroll, he's excited. He's got a new job. He's going to be the head coach of the Raiders. And I think this was a great hire by the Raiders. And now he's going to get a chance to work with someone that he knows well. John Spytek, who's got a lot of years of experience in the NFL, has been hired as general manager. So this was the advantage of the Raiders' job. They've got synergy now between general manager and coach. Pete Carroll comes in, and for a franchise that was rudderless, he brings instant respectability, and he shines a light on your franchise, a good light. Now, Pete Carroll, what I love about him, too, he loves football more than just about anyone. And he wants to coach more than just about anyone. The fact that he's willing to do it in his mid-70s without hesitation tells you how much this guy loves the game. But here's where Pete really has a leg up on other candidates they could have considered. Pete Carroll has been around as a head coach for the last 30 years? When you've been a head man in college and the NFL for that long, and you've won multiple national championships and a Super Bowl, and he's been to more than just one Super Bowl, and you've dealt with many different types of players and several different teams, there is nothing that comes across his desk that he's not aware of or knows how to deal with. So there's nothing that will catch Pete Carroll off guard. So he comes in with a certain level of comfort and confidence because he's been there and done that. Also, the Raiders are a rudderless ship and a trash franchise. No disrespect to Mark Davis, but they've been awful for a long time. And what Pete Carroll is going to do is come in, and this is like remodel work. And you know how remodeling goes. You have to break everything down, tear it down before you go in and rebuild. So he is going to lay a foundation. He's going to build the proper structure and get this program back on track. And he's well connected around the league. So Pete Carroll, because of his connections and the many people that he knows, he can come in and build a good staff, which you're going to need to coach these guys up. And he will get them back on track. Now, I don't know how long Pete's going to do it. What is it, a 3-year deal? Maybe he goes 3 years. Maybe it ends up being more than 3 years. But at least if it's only 3 years, I can guarantee you that this program, this organization will be on a much better pathway when he's done with it. Because rebuilding projects are nothing new to Pete Carroll. It was like that at USC. It was like that with the Seahawks. And he just lays the foundation and goes to work. And he's got good connections around the league. And he's got great energy. And he's got certain convictions that he truly believes in that will be a key part of the program he's building there with the Raiders. I have a lot of respect for Pete Carroll. Now, he does annoy me at times with the floppy hair and the gum chewing, but that's only because his team destroyed my team in a Super Bowl. Outside of that, he's been nothing short of terrific. So I actually like the hire by Mark Davis. And I like Mark Davis. I've said that before. I like Davis. I want him to do well. And I'm just glad that he's got some people around him that help him make a better hire this time around. Because Pete Carroll will come in, he'll provide direction, he'll coach guys up, and he'll get this franchise back on track. Now, it's going to take time because why? Well, the most important thing, they don't have a quarterback. Who's going to be quarterback for the Raiders? They don't have one. They need to find one. And until they find one, it's going to be an issue for them. But we've seen Pete now over the course of time when he had Russ, great success. Even after Russ, he was able to get the Seahawks back in the postseason. But Pete Carroll's got cachet. He's got the respect of the guys around him. He's had great success. Players know that, and I think they'll respect Coach Carroll right away. And for Mark Davis, this was the right hire. I think Pete was the right job for this opportunity. He'll step in, lay a foundation, and provide direction. And that's what it all comes down to. So we'll see how things shake out with Pete. But I love, guys, this whole idea that you reach a certain age and you just pull the golden parachute. I don't think that's the way to live. If you have a chance to make big bucks doing what you love and you want to continue to pursue it because it makes you happy and you can still do it at a high level, why not? This whole idea of riding off into the sunset. No, I know I've got limited time on this planet. I just want to get as much out of me as I possibly can before it's all said and done. And Pete Carroll's got the same approach. And it'll be exciting to see what he's able to accomplish. Now, we talked a lot about the Chiefs, but I think we got to give some respect to the Eagles for the job they were able to do. How about Saquon Barkley? How good of a pickup was that?
Pitches it out to Barkley, takes off to the outside. He's at the 50, he's at the 40, he's at the 30, he's going to go! 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Saquon Barkley, 60 yards on his opening touch.
The Eagles rushed 7 touchdowns yesterday against the Commanders. 7 touchdowns. They dominated the line of scrimmage. They put pressure on the Commanders' offense, and they capitalized on every opportunity. And that was the difference. And the game was won right before the end of the first half. The Commanders scored a touchdown to pull within 2. They missed a 2-point conversion. They had a chance to hold Philly on their next possession, but they get a PI on 3rd and 13. That drive resulted in a touchdown. The Commanders fumble the ensuing kickoff. Eagles get the ball. Once again, the Commanders have a chance to hold them on 3rd down, but a late hit out of bounds. 1st down, Philly touchdown, game over. It can end that quickly in the postseason in a 2-minute stretch with a couple of bad plays, bad decision-making, turnovers, whatever, over. They were smothered at that point, and the Eagles just piled it on. Now, the great thing about the Eagles is their roster. Top down, best roster in the NFL, and most importantly, they're incredibly tough at the line of scrimmage. They can run the ball. Jalen Hurts is good enough to make the plays he needs to make to keep that offense moving, and they're good defensively. That's a sound football team. Now, would I bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid? Heck no. There's no way. But this is a formidable challenge for the Chiefs because the Eagles are really good. Really good. But in the end, my first thought on the game is, who's got the best coach and the best quarterback? Well, that's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to bet against those guys. There's no way. But I love the way the Eagles do it, and they're an example of how the NFL is cool because there's so many different ways to win. You can do it with the passing game, or like the Eagles, you can be a power run team. But the Eagles are built the right way from the inside out. Their line of scrimmage play is terrific. Aggressive on defense. They get pressure on the quarterback. And with their offense, they can line up and run the football. And that gives them a chance to do so in the Super Bowl, shorten the game, take possessions away from Patrick Mahomes, and put themselves in a position to win. And how often do you get this type of opportunity in life where you get a chance to rematch against a team that ripped your heart out a couple of years ago? That was a very tight and competitive football game. But the Chiefs came out on top because Patrick Mahomes made a couple of key plays late. And there was a key mistake by the Eagles on defense with the PI. But the Chiefs capitalized. So I'm anxious to see what Hurts and company could do with that rematch. That opportunity to get back and get it right. And they've got the team to do it. But in the end, I trust Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo, along with Patrick Mahomes, more than I do Nick Sirianni and his staff, even with the most talented roster. But what a game it's going to be. I'm glad that it's these two teams. You get the rematch, and I believe it's the two best teams in football. But the Eagles, they do it the right way. They're tough. They move you off the ball. They're a physical football team, and Saquon Barkley has been quite the pickup. One of the all-time great free agent acquisitions. He's an all-timer. They brought him in, and then boom, instant impact. 2,000 yards, dynamic playmaker who has the ability to go the distance anywhere on the field. One of the best running backs I've seen. He's special. He's good in blitz pickup. He can catch the football. He can run it. There's nothing he can't do. And Jalen Hurts is great for that team because he's got a unique poise about him. And we noticed this in college when he was still at Alabama before he made the jump to Oklahoma. He got benched in the middle of the national title game. Tua comes in and leads him to the championship. But Hurts, what does he do? He doesn't pout. He comes back next year to back him up. And then when called upon, he got the job done for them. Then he goes to Oklahoma, proves he can throw the football. And now with the Eagles, he's been to a bowl, nearly won it. He was the best player on the field in that game 2 years ago, and they still came up short. And now he's got a chance to do it again. And the great thing about the Eagles, unlike some teams, they won't forget who they are. Teams that have an identity and understand what they do best and know who they are and then go out there and never get away from that, they're tough to beat. The Eagles know, like, hey, we're going to try and rough you up. We're going to win the battle at the line of scrimmage, and we're going to run the football. And if they remember that and they pursue that in the game, it's going to give them a great chance to win. It will take pressure off of Hurts. It will neutralize some of the attack defense that Spagnuolo wants to throw at him. And then all he has to do is be a point guard and get the ball in the hands of his playmakers. And he's got plenty of guys who can make plays. Plenty of guys. And Hurts likes the togetherness on this squad.
There's been a sense of togetherness for us to all come together and try and achieve the ultimate team goal. And we've done a great job of that to this point of being able to put ourselves in this position.
Yeah, no doubt. Great job. For Saquon, he's been let out of prison with the Giants, going nowhere, and now has a chance to win a championship.
I always dreamed about it, but the dream wasn't just getting there. The dream was winning it. So that's what the mindset's at.
How bad are the Giants? Not only do you let him go, but he goes to the Eagles, and now he's got a chance to win a title. And Giant fans don't like the Eagles. All right, we'll keep things rolling here. Little Patrick Swayze. This is back in the 80s when there were several movie stars who were making songs. Eddie Murphy did. Patrick Swayze did. Don Johnson did it.
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis. Michael Damian. Trying to think
Michael
if there's
Landon?
any others. Did Michael Landon make a song?
I don't know.
Michael Landon's cool. Little House on the Prairie was awesome.
Didn't Andy Griffin have an album?
He did.
I remember the commercial.
I like Andy Griffith, too. Good job, Patrick. I still love the skit on Saturday Night Live where he and Farley were doing the Chippendales. One physique is not like the other. She's like the wind. All right, we'll come back. Rip City Drive with Chad Doing. All right, this song made it all the way to number 17 on the U.S. Billboard charts and is listed as a gold album, certified gold with over 500,000 units sold. This is Don Johnson, the star from Miami Vice. This is back in the time where movie and TV stars decided they wanted to get into the music game. Eddie Murphy had a sweet hit with Party All the Time. Patrick Swayze, Bruce Willis, Don Johnson, Joey Lawrence, just to list a few of the former actors. Bette Midler, of course. God is watching us from a distance. She drives you crazy. There you have it. I think Don Johnson's from Wichita, Kansas. I think that's where he was born. So there you have it. Yeah. Yeah, the 80s was an interesting time for music. There was a lot of great stuff, and then there were things that were done that were good at the time, but you look back, you're like, that was good? Some of the fashion from the 80s, too. I did wear parachute pants at one time in my life and thought that was cool.
I wonder how many musicians in the late 80s made money. They already sold their albums on vinyl and cassette, and then fans rebought their albums again on CD.
Yeah. Yeah, it happened. I just heard something about that the other day. Was it... let's see here. What's his name? I can't think of it off the top of my head. The lead singer for Smashing Pumpkins. He was on Joe Rogan. And so I listened to his breakdown of the music industry. But what they did is all the record labels had to go and recut deals with their artists when it came to CD technology, when that was going to hit the market. And they did some way to screw the artists over because they made it sound like, well, we're not sure if this technology is going to work. And so they reworked the deal. And they screwed some people over in the process. I know that's a big surprise, but obviously CDs were huge. I mean, my cousin Darren was the first person in my family to get a CD player. And what I loved about CDs at the time is, one, you didn't have to worry about them getting tangled up or breaking, but they were much more compact. So keeping CDs in an area where you could find them didn't take up as much space as cassettes or 8-tracks or albums. I used to have the old cassette carrier in my vehicles when I still had a cassette player with the detachable face.
Young people aren't going to be amazed by this, but I was amazed by no longer having to flip and repeat. You could have it just start from the beginning again. I thought that was amazing technology.
You're talking about with the cassette or the CD?
The CD. When the CD took over, you could just, you didn't have to flip it anymore, and you could click repeat and just go back to the beginning.
Yeah, it was genius. Really good. I was blown away when they came up with the auto reverse on the cassette, so you didn't have to flip the cassette over to side B to listen on that to that side. So there you have it. Yeah, I had 8 tracks. My dad, in the old Toyota pickup he had when we were younger, before my brother and I wrecked it in the country roads of Oklahoma, he had an 8-track player in that. The best 8-track he had was the Kenny Rogers Greatest Hits, and I listened to that until I wore that bad boy out. And then my grandma, she didn't have a cassette player. She had an 8-track player, but she had an adapter. And I'll never forget it. The first time my brother and I sampled the new Quiet Riot cassette tape that came out, we had to use the adapter. And keep in mind, this is a summertime in Oklahoma. And the old grandma car had vinyl seats. And let's just put it this way. Vinyl had a way of burning you when it was sitting out in the hot sun. And then the car with the humidity, it was like 100 degrees outside. It was like 150 inside the car. So we had to open it up and get some air in there to cool it off a bit. And then you'd have to be careful. You'd have to lay a towel down on the seat to be able to sit and plug in the adapter so we could listen to Quiet Riot. That's the technology of the day. Not great. Let's just put it that way. And then the first stereo I got for my room when I lived back in Oklahoma, I'll never forget. I wanted it. I picked it out in the service merchandise catalog. Now, for you youngsters out there trying to figure out what the hell a catalog is, it was this big book with a lot of great pictures, and a lot of people would order stuff from different stores, and you would go through around Christmas time, and you would make notes or put little tabs down so that your mom would know what you wanted for Christmas. So I picked out this stereo. It had the cassette player, the radio dial, which was critical. It had a 8-track adapter so you could play 8-track tapes, and it had the record deal on top so you could spin records. So this is before CD technology. So I had all phases working in one system. Radio, 8-track, cassette and records. And back then, this is before the onset of like cable television, MTV, all that stuff. We had 8 night tracks, which was when videos hit. Night tracks came out on TBS. They'd run like nonstop videos for a few hours on Saturday night. We'd stay up late to watch the latest Michael Jackson video, but the stereo was a big deal. And that stereo was badass. I loved it. I had it for years and years. But the radio tuner was critical. That's how we knew what the new music was. And then when you go to the record store at the mall, you could buy it a couple of different ways. One, they started selling singles on cassette. So if there was a new single out, like from Cutting Crew or some 80s band that came out with a new single, you could pick up the single on cassette, or they had little 45s so you could buy the record singles. And I think my cousin Darren did a good job of saving those. But heck, I didn't have my first CD player until a long time ago. But yeah, those are the days. The 8-track adapter inside my grandma's car was about 150 degrees. Let's go out to Jackie in Sherwood. Jackie, welcome to the show. Long time no chat.
Chad, hi.
Hi.
You were mentioning about picking out things out of the catalog, and it sparked a memory for me.
Yep.
When the Pennies, the Sears, or the Montgomery Ward's catalog would come, and I would pick out all these things that I wanted, and it just brought back a memory that I wanted to share with you.
Yeah, what you got?
Well, when I was younger, and toys to pick out of the catalog and fold down the corner and big circle around it. And the days of the catalog, of course, is long gone, but it just sparked a memory when you talked about, the catalog and picking things out. And, of course, we don't do that anymore, but just wanted to share that.
No, it's fun. I loved it, Jackie. Those were the days right there. Now what Grandma does is Kaylee will just send her links to stuff online that she wants. Things have changed. My Uncle Truman for years ran a Sears catalog store in Durant, Oklahoma, where Dennis Rodman went to college at. They're at southeastern Oklahoma State. He had a Sears catalog store. And so inside the storefront, you would walk in and have like a lawnmower, a couple of items there. But you would just go in to order your stuff, and then the stuff was shipped to the store. And when your products came, you would go to the store and pick it up. And that was all catalog based. But the catalogs, that was the key right there. And right around Christmas time, you'd flip through the catalogs and you would start to take note of all the different things. I'm still mad, though, because back then we had Star Wars figures, and I was huge on that. But my mom would put fingernail polish on the bottom of the feet of my figurines, my little Star Wars figures, like Luke Skywalker and, like Lando and all that stuff. And so mine they all have fingernail polish on the bottom to make sure we knew which was which, mine or my brother's. I'm still mad about that. All right, big thanks to everyone, including Brian Noe, Michael Shacker. Have a good night. Tomorrow we kick off our 50-50 raffle for ALS Northwest, live at Dr. Jack's from 3 until 6 before the Bucks and Blazers. Courtside Monday with Chris Burkhart's coming up next.